Hi everyone, welcome to another C++ tutorial for beginners, and today's topic is going to be about basic introduction to functions. So let's start with the main function. So on screen here I have tutorial1.cpp open, and here I have the main function, which is the first function that is run whenever the output of tutorial1.cpp is run. So let's start with the int main, the very top line number 4, and this is called the function signature. The first word is the function's return type, and in this case it's an integer, and the function name is the second word, and in this case it's main. Inside the curly braces there's nothing here, but essentially there can be parameters inside the curly braces, and I'll be showing you an example of that later on. And to open up the function itself, there's these two braces, and inside these braces we have what is called the body of the function, and this is the code that's executed inside the function whenever the function is called. And here we have int x equals 0. Inside the function, the function ends with a return type, and this is written as return and then a value. So for the main function, we have return and then an integer type, and the reason why is because the function signature, its return type is an integer, so we can only return a value which is of type integer. The main function is special in the case that it doesn't need a return type. So if we don't include this return type, it automatically will return a 0. And for returning 0, this would mean that the program has returned successfully. And if we return a non-zero value, let's say -2 or -3, this will indicate to Linux that the program has not returned successfully, which in turn could mean like something went wrong with the program or something like that. So let's have return 0 here. And for an example, let's create another function. Let's call it squared. Let's create a squared function in C++. And the way we could do that is create another function signature. We can have integer and then have the name of the function, since it's going to be a squared. Let's have it like that. Let's have a parameter, and in this case we can do something like int x. In this case we only need one function to be put inside this function. We can also have other function parameters. Let's say int y, or let's say we need a double type. We could do double y, but I'm gonna only have int x here. And what we're gonna do is create another variable called squared, which does the squared mathematic operation inside the body of squared. And so we take this value of x times x. So if, let's say, the value of int x is 4, we do 4 times 4, stored it inside squared, and then we do return squared. So how can we use this function? Since we know that the main function is going to be called by running our C++ program, we do squared. So from here, we're calling this squared function from the main, and we have to give it a value for x. So let's take rx from the main function and put it inside inside the parameter for squared. So what this will do is call the squared function and give it a value of whatever x is. So in this case, x is 0. So we're giving the value of 0 into the squared function. And then, so this x will go inside. So we'll do 0 times 0, which is 0. We get the squared function, squared variable. So we store the 0 inside the squared variable, and then we return it. So we return the squared. So we return 0. And so we need another variable to store whatever is being returned from the squared. So x, let's say, let's create a squared variable, and store whatever is being returned from the squared function. Let's call it something else then. Let's just call it y for now. So now let's return, let's print out y. And let's run our program. So we can see that the y being printed out and the value of y is 0. Now let's change the value of x to make sure that our squared function is working. So what's going to happen is x is going to get the value 2. So we're taking this x and we're calling the squared function. This is called a function call. So we're calling it from the main function. We're calling squared from the main function, and we're giving it the value of x, which is 2. So this 2 gets put inside x, and we have here int squared, which is another variable, and this will get the value of x times x. It does 2 times 2, which is 4. We store that 4 inside the squared and return squared. So we're returning back 4. So this return, what it will do is be put inside the variable y, and we're printing out y. And so yeah, let's print this out again. Now run it with the value 2 for x. So now we see that we're getting 4. Some things that we can change here. Let's say we do let's say we want a double value. Let's say we want decimals also. So what we could do is create double x, and we're passing this x variable, which has the type double. We're passing it inside squared, and the problem here is going to be that we're returning a type of int, and then the parameter that we're receiving inside the squared function is int x. This is going to create a compiler error, just to have a better understanding. So this might not create an error actually. Let's try running this. Right, so this might not create an error because the double x here will be converted to an integer, and it'll sort of contain the value of, let's try 2.2. This will also be converted as well, but let's say we have a string value. Let's comment this line out, and let's also comment this line out. So what we're doing here is we're creating a double x and giving it the value of 2.2, but we're calling squared, which is another function, and we're passing in x with the type double. But when we're receiving the string x, this x is of type string. So when we're giving double and receiving string, this is gonna cause an error. And let me try running this. So we can see here that we're getting this error, could not convert x from double to a string. So we're passing in a double here, but we're receiving a string. This is just to show the for better understanding that whatever we pass in to a function should always be of the same type, corresponding to the same type. So if we pass in a double, we should receive with a double. So let's receive with the double now. And let's also have the return type for squared as double. So double squared equals x times x, and then we're returning a double. And we're getting this return type squared and storing this the value of squared inside y, which is a variable of type double. Let's print this out. So we see here the square root of 2.2 is 4.84. So another thing that I wanted to touch upon in this tutorial of functions is, what if this the squared function is defined below the main function? So what's going to happen in this case? Let's run the main function, and we see here that it's saying it's getting an error. Squared was not declared in the scope. So the function main, it can only look at functions that are kind of above it. And when we see above the int main function, we have like only the include headers and using lines, but there's no declaration of the squared function. And the squared function, but we as humans, we know that the squared function is already declared, but it's just below the main function. So to fix this, what we could do, so this is called the function definition, which includes the signature, the body, and also the return type. But I also want to introduce this concept of function declaration. And what it is basically putting the function signature with the semicolon at the very top of the file, right below the includes. So let's say we do just double squared, and we give it the function signature, which is double x. This is what is known as the declaration of the below file. So there's, as you can see, the function doesn't have like the braces or like the body of the function. It's just only the function signature. Let's now run this file. And now we can see that 4.84 is what's being printed out. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. In this tutorial, we saw like function signatures, which has the return type, function name, and then parameters. Then we went on to explaining a bit about the main function and how it's special in the case that it doesn't need a return type. And also we created another function called squared with its own return type and parameters, and then we got its return value, and then we printed out that inside the main function. And then finally we ended off with the function declaration at the very top if the function that we're calling from the main function is not above it. So if this video helped in any way or form, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be putting out more C++ content. And thanks for watching.